Okay, hello, I am back. So today I want to talk to you about the nature of Jupiter retrograde, which is really the essence of the thunder gods. The thunder gods have a strong connection to Jupiter, but Jupiter itself is actually a very peaceful, benefic planet. But a lot of people don't understand that Jupiter is really the fiercest of the warriors. It's even more fierce than Mars. And that is what the lightning is. And that is why you have Thor is seen as a war god. In the Northern European tradition, Thor is seen as the war god, even though Tyr is technically, the god of war, which isn't really true because really the only thing that Tyr is doing is that he is wrestling with the wolf, Fenris, who wants to swallow the universe, and he's keeping him at bay. So he is in constant battle. So, but that's not the same as warfare. Mars is a killer. Mars goes out, kills and destroys without mercy. But even Mars will bow the knee to an angry Jupiter. When Jupiter gets angry and starts to get the lightning bolt prepared to throw the lightning bolt, even Jupiter gets on his knees and worships. So when Jupiter is not angry, when Jupiter is not retrograde, Jupiter is the priest. And the priest is the most kind, loving, giving, and the most tolerant, the most patient. And this is, when people come into the temple, you can't bring weapons into the temple. And, refugees and even criminals and others can take refuge in the temple, and even, the king can't come in and do anything about it. But when it comes down to it, when the priest, ideally when the priest goes to war, it is the kind of power that destroys ghosts and demons and negativity. So, when you have Mars, when Mars is in a bad place, you can have problems with ghosts and demons. But Jupiter, when Jupiter gets angry, Jupiter is a demon fighter. So I'm going to talk a little bit about astrology, but really what I want to talk to you about is the power of the thunder gods. Now, why am I talking about this now? Well, we are currently in a I don't know if you felt it, but we're in April, 13th right now, April 13th, 2018. And we have two really powerful things going on in an astrological way, which is we've got Jupiter retrograde and we've got Mercury retrograde. So you hear people talking about Mercury retrograde all the time, and to be honest, it's far overused. Mercury goes retrograde all the time. So I don't pay attention when Mercury goes retrograde. I don't really pay all that much attention because all that means is you pay a little bit more attention to what you're saying and all that kind of stuff, because communication can get screwed up. By the way, as I'm thinking about it, Mercury isn't just communication; it is the transportation of things. So, just for instance, I noticed yesterday that there was a leak in the hot water heater, the hot water pipe coming out of the water heater. There was a leak in it, and it was really bugging me, like I was obsessing over it. When is the plumber going to get here? When is the landlord going to send the plumber? And as I was thinking about it, I was aware that we've got this really intense retrograde situation of both Jupiter and Mercury. And I realized that Mercury isn't just communication. Mercury is the transportation of things, because this Mercury is the messenger. So we see that normally in communication. We got to be careful when Mercury is retrograde that we get misunderstood or we have a hard time expressing ourselves or that kind of thing. But it also has to do with, you know, your cell phone, your car, your, getting from one place to the next, and the transportation. So what was happening is that the water, which was transporting itself from the hot water heater, there was a leak in it. And so that has to do with, in my opinion, I believe that's Mercury. But what has been happening with me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you have felt it, is for, a week or so, I have just been feeling really anxious, and I can't put my finger on it. Obsessing over things, worrying about things, and you know me, that is not something that I put a lot of effort into. In fact, I spend a lot of time teaching people not to worry, but to trust the universe. And I'm finding myself worrying about the future and worrying about this and that, and feeling trapped and all that. And so when I took a look at what was happening astrologically, and I saw that we've got Mercury and Jupiter retrograde, then it made a lot of sense. So let's talk about Jupiter retrograde. Now, I've been feeling really self-conscious. I've been worried about what I've been saying. I've been, all that kind of stuff. But I've also been, if you've noticed, I've been even more direct and ruthless than normal as a teacher. I'm usually pretty direct and ruthless. One of the reasons for that is because when I take Q&A questions here on these videos, I don't have the time to coddle somebody and work with their unconscious resistance and make them feel good about themselves. I have to get right to the heart of it. And so, that is can be harsh. And it's hard to hear, and a lot of people can't hear it. And I know that half the time I do it, that I'm already alienating people. But this is my job. As it so happens, I'm a thunder wizard. I chose that name before actually really understanding what Jupiter is in my chart. Jupiter is retrograde in my 8th house in Pisces. So major Jupiterian energy, but retrograde planet if there was a house that's retrograde, it's the 8th house. So it's like double retrograde. And this is the demon fighter. This is why I was an exorcist. I never sought it out. I just happened to be there, and I was the only one that knew how to do it. There'd be somebody frothing on the floor, blah, 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 and I was the only one that knew anything about it, so I would be the one that would be doing the exorcism. I got into Taoist spirit fighting, which is an actual, not only a physical martial art, but a shamanic martial art that you can use to fight demons with your bare hands. And, so there's no, there's no mystery to this. I've got retrograde Jupiter in Pisces in the 8th house, So that means as a teacher, that's also the case with me as well. So for some people, even when I'm nice and I'm loving and I'm happy, people start to get, they start to feel the intensity of Jupiter. So what's been happening is I've been having not one, so again, I'm not pointing out just one person in case you're listening, but there's been a few of my students who have out of the blue messaged me, either emailed me or some other way saying that they felt they had offended me and they were worried that they had offended me. And I took note of that. It's like, wow, what is that about? Because, in each one of those instances, it was the farthest thing from the truth. I had nothing but a wonderful experience, and I felt nothing but love and respect from these students. So why would they think that? And it's because Jupiter is retrograde. So I am the teacher. And so what that means is that they're having that experience. Jupiter is retrograding on them, which is that life is doing that. And because I am a teacher, I am also Jupiter as well. So they align me with that, and immediately the feelings that they're having about offending the teacher, which is really not has nothing to do with me, but they're just, and in both cases, it was more than two. In multiple cases, they had said that it just sort of came out of the blue, out of nowhere. They didn't know why they were feeling that way. Well, that's why. So as I said, planets are going retrograde all the time. So I don't, people just get so bent out, it's just like, oh, yeah, Mercury retrograde. It's just, it's just a way of being new agey and, but sometimes you got to take a look at what's happening. And are we approaching a new moon? Because that will also intensify it. See, that gives you, just to show you, I don't spend my life looking at, what's going on with the planets at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we have close to a new moon, right? So we got that going on. So the moon is the mind. So the mind is feeling, it thinks it's in the dark. It's not shining. The light of the spirit is not reflecting off of the moon. The mind is not feeling connected to the soul, to the spirit. So you put all these things together, and people feel really isolated and scared and vulnerable. So if you've been feeling that lately, this is one of the reasons why. So as it turns out, I am now feeling really good. I'm feeling the positive side of Jupiter. I'm feeling very benefic. I'm very relaxed. I went surfing today, and the waves were big, and they were so much fun. And I had a new surfboard that was perfect for these size waves, and I was tearing it up. I was really happy to get out there and surf like as good as I ever have in my life, doing all kinds of crazy maneuvers and big waves, standing there in this big giant wall of water and taking off, as you're coming down, as you're catching the wave, you have to take off down this huge wall of water, and it feels like you're jumping off of a building, you know. So I'm really happy, and I'm calm right now. But that explains a lot. That explains a lot of what I've been talking about lately and what I've been thinking. And one of the things I've been thinking, and I've shared this, I think, in the last two videos, but one of the things that's been coming to mind is that it has become harder and harder for me to have sympathy for people who choose to be unhappy. And the truth of the matter is that whatever unhappiness we are experiencing, and I can already feel the resistance before I even say it, all of the unhappiness that we experience is our own choice. We are the ones responsible. I've known people, more than a few people who, if you were to meet them and talk to them, you would think, oh my God, that person has gone through so much. I feel so sorry for them. But I've known them, my whole life, and I've watched them put tons and tons of effort into where they are now, including their physical ailments, their, all the stuff that's going on. I've seen them, on multiple levels. We keep making choices. Every single second we're making a choice. And it is those choices that build up into what we call karma or weird or orlog. Orlog is different, actually. Karma and weird, which is the end result. Weird is W-Y-R-D, by the way. Not W-E-I-R-D. Is that how it's spelled? W-Y-R-D, weird. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. So what Jupiter wants to do right now is Jupiter wants to be ruthless. And when Jupiter is retrograde like this, it means Jupiter has no patience. Jupiter is like, I've been teaching this to you and teaching this to you, and if you don't listen or you don't respond or you don't respect the teaching, out comes the lightning. But the lightning is there to cleanse. It's it's there to drive away negativity. This is why it's a demon fighter thing. This is why Thor, by the way, Thor, for people who don't know him, who just look at him at first glance, think that he is impatient and that he will fly off the handle at a moment's notice, and you have to be careful with him. That he's easily offended, and that is actually the furthest thing from the truth about Thor. When I first did a ritual to Thunar, which is the Germanic pronunciation of Thor, which is the same as Indra. I won't get into that right now, but Indra is the same deity. When I did my first ritual to Thunar, and dedicated my work and my life to him as a teacher, what I experienced was this very ethereal bliss. I was outside. It was like the next day. This is my experience. I'll do a ritual, and then what'll happen is like a day or 2 days later, I'll get the impact of it's sort of like the ritual goes out, and then it comes back, and then boom, I get hit with it. It doesn't always happen that way, but it has happened like that a few times. So the same thing. It was a day or 2 days later, and I was outside, and I looked up at the sky, and the sky was blue, and there was this beautiful cloud going overhead, and it was springtime, and I just got this wave of, and I wasn't stoned, and I got this wave of bliss, this very ethereal, like I was connecting with the clouds and the atmosphere. And Thor and Indra are both gods of the atmosphere. And I was like, wow, and I knew who it was. I knew it was Thunar, giving me the result of the blessing, if you will, of the ritual. And I remember somebody else that had done, one of my students that had done a ritual to Thor, and it would be interesting to look at his chart to see where Jupiter is, but he came back with the same thing. He said, I know you told me to face east because that's where Thor goes to fight demons, to fight the trolls, is in the east. But he said, but I felt this really blissful energy coming from the northeast, which is where Thunar, his essence is. He spends time, his job, his office is in the east, and that's why we worship him there. Because we want Jupiter to do its job to protect us from negativity, from ignorance, from violence, from negativity. But in his essence, he is very blissful and very peaceful. But we worship the thunder aspect of Jupiter, the thunder and lightning aspect of Jupiter, which is Thunar and Indra and Zeus and Jupiter and Shango. This is really what this is. This is Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter retrograde, going inward. Retrograde also means going inward, going deep. So when you have the discipline of the thunder, when you have the discipline that comes from Jupiter, it is very intense, it's very quick, it's very harsh, and it's very direct. It's more direct even than Mars can be. Just, it's like lightning. There's just, it's just there. It's the fastest thing. I was just looking at, getting ready for today, and I remember reading this, but it was nice to be reminded of it. When there's lightning strikes on Jupiter, the lightning has been measured up to 1,000 times stronger than the lightning we have here on Earth. Imagine that. Imagine the most intense lightning you've ever seen or experienced. I don't know if you've ever been close to a lightning strike. I have. One time in my life I was right next to a lightning strike. And it's crazy. It is so crazy. It is so bright and it is so loud. It sounds like a huge, huge bomb going off. Um, and imagine that 1,000 times. That's Jupiter. Jupiter has the most intense magnetic field in the solar system except for the sun. And that's because the sun is so enormous. But Jupiter far, far surpasses any other planet's magnetic field. In any case, so I'm actually quite comfortable and quite relaxed. I was getting ready to really come on and be Jupiter retrograde, but I'm starting to the fatigue from surfing earlier is starting to kick in. I'm wanting to lie down and take a nap, but that's what I want to talk to you guys about. So before we do that, before I take any questions, I'm going to go ahead and play. Well, first, let me show you this. Somebody draw this. McGee. I'm sorry, I can't remember the gentleman's name. Last name is McGee. He messaged me and said that he had made a couple of drawings for me, and this is what he sent me. So I've incorporated it into my, I made a little logo here, which I thought was cool. And anyway, I've incorporated it into my, my little video thing. So forgive me, I'm kind of full of myself at the moment, but hey, what the hell? Yeah, if you don't like yourself, then it's kind of hard for anybody else to like you as well. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and just play the little movie thing here again. Give me a couple minutes. I'll come back and check and see if there are any questions. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some questions. I think I saw at least one here. So, where did we go here? All right, Gremnor Thomas says, question, can chi energy become visible to the eyes? I think the better way to ask that question is, can somebody's eyes learn how to see chi energy? So can chi energy become visible to the eyes? I mean, lightning would be one version of that. So I kind of wonder why you asked the question, because it kind of sounds like doing energy work for entertainment's sake, like, ooh, look at that, sparks. And real energy work, you start to not care about that after a while. But I think, again, what's most important is are there people who can see chi energy? And there are. Now, when it comes to that kind of ability, to be able to see chi energy is really something that has to be done because you have been given a gift to do it. right? If you've been given a gift to see chi energy, then you will. But like any spiritual gift, it is actually something that's a result of karma that you need to burn off. And ideally, that's not anything that, it doesn't do anything for it, doesn't have any spiritual value. Um, if somebody is given the ability to see energy, it's because they have a destiny to be a healer, an energy healer, and so they can see things in people's aura or see people's energy. But again, it's because they have karma from a previous lifetime that they have to overcome, and so they're doing that. That's the only reason that we get these kinds of gifts. Okay, looking for the questions. So again, if you're new to my channel, the best way to interact with me is just to ask a question. To let me know you're asking a question, put question so I can see it. Reason for that is we have a bunch of people who come on and everybody wants to drop their opinions and talk to each other, and I have to scroll past all of that in order to get to the questions. So the less of that and the more questions, the better everybody's time is used. So let's see, another question. Gremnor Thomas. Question, while doing Qigong, the simple one of expanding, stretching, and compressing of energy. That's not a question. Oh, question continue. While expanding, the energy expands all the way out and increasing, and during compression, the energy depletes most of the time. So I'm assuming you're talking about my Qigong practice. There's a Qigong exercise on my channel. If you go onto my Thunder Wizard channel and type in Qigong, again, that's typing a question into my channel is different than typing it on the top of YouTube. If you just type in Qigong, YouTube will show you everything on YouTube. So you have to learn. If you want to get the most out of my channel, you have to put the time and energy to find out how to search within somebody's channel. And it's, again, it depends on which kind of device you're using. So type Qigong. So while if what you're saying is true, that when you expand the energy all the way out and increasing it during compression, the energy depletes, that's a sign that there's something wrong with your energy, that your energy is low. I don't know you, but it makes me want to ask you if you smoke weed or if you do cannabis. Cannabis and other power plants is the fastest way to deplete your energy. So if you're building the energy and as fast as you're building it, it's being depleted, it means that there's something wrong with your energy. It could be that there's a concentration, that you're thinking too hard, like, you feel the energy and then your brain kicks in and you try and think about it, which is again something that happens with people that do a lot of power plants. That will get rid of the energy as well. So I'd have to know more. That's not what you're saying. Is why does that happen? It doesn't happen that way. When I do it, the energy expands, and then when I compress it, not only does it get stronger, but I feel it. I can feel it through my whole body. I can feel it going into my my channels. It's like a squeezing of a toothpaste tube. I can feel it going deep into my channels. So that's, you ask that question like that's the way it happens all the time. It doesn't. That's how it's happening for you. So I would recommend, by the way, anybody wants to, let me just announce it. I'm very close to sharing the 3 ones method that I've been talking about. I haven't talked about it for a while, but this is so far in my experience, the highest and most powerful energy, magical, meditative practice there is. And Qigong is what you need to do to get yourself prepared for that. So anybody wants that, I'm just telling you now, if you want to get the most out of the Qigong, the other stuff that I do, you got to get rid of a lot of things. Got to get rid of any recreational chemicals, cannabis, alcohol, tobacco, caffeine. I'm not saying you have to eat the perfect diet, but you got to start eating, healthy food, and get rid of the sodas and all that other crap. But especially get rid of the recreational chemicals, because that you'll be wasting your time. You can be meditating all day; it'll be a complete waste of your time. You got to pick one or the other. Anyway, we talked about that in other videos. So just letting you know that it's coming soon. And I'm working on it right now, so I'll let you know um, as I get further along. Anyway, so let's see if there's any more questions here. Johnny says, question, going back to my, okay, I don't see a question there. Kim Nash, question, what exactly do you teach? YouTube. Kim, thank you for coming on to the channel. Please go to my my YouTube and watch the videos. Binge watch the videos. I mean, for me to answer that question, I teach a lot of different things. So I don't know what you think I'm going to tell you in one word. You know, I probably should just for advertising purposes. But you can also go to thunderwizard.com, and that'll give you a better idea of some of the things that I teach. But I teach syncretic shamanism. I teach energy work. I teach magic. I teach shamanism. I teach ritual. I teach methods of dynamic spiritual transformation. How's that? I teach methods of dynamic spiritual transformation. My goal is to get you connected to your highest energy level, get you connected with your ascended masters so that you can get your energy to rise to a level where you can transform. You know, the kinds of teachers that I trained with, some of them in some of the traditions, they taught things that were designed to get the vibration of your energy to such a level that you would phase out of existence altogether, out of material existence and go to a higher plane. So take from that what you will. But again, you're going to, please, again, if you, let me be the harsh Jupiter here. Stop screwing around. Stop being, stop, flitting around. Spend some time. Put the time and energy into learning what I teach. Listen, even if you go onto my thunderwizard.com YouTube channel, the free stuff, and some people want to sometimes attack me because I charge for my time, but there's no excuse for that because there is so much stuff on my channel for free. Even if you just went and did the Hool breath or the Thurisaj rune mudra meditation, if you did the Thor's hammer on a daily basis, you would get everything you needed to achieve ultimate transformation. But you got to put the time and effort into it. One of the things that, the majority of people that come onto YouTube and a lot of people that come onto my channel, they're looking for some quick fix and they don't really want to, and that's not so much their fault. That's how our society has been built. There's been at least two or three generations of people who don't know what it's like to live without a smartphone. They have no idea what it's like to live without the internet. They think that everything comes right away, that everything is a product. They're stuck in their heads. This is something, if you want to achieve something on a spiritual level, you got to drop all that. I mean, I still use all this stuff, but you've got to be disciplined. You've got to put the time and the effort into learning. So if you want to know what it is that I teach, put the time and effort. There are, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of teachings on my free YouTube channel. Free stuff. We're not talking about the paid stuff. But the other thing, if you really want to learn shamanism, true shamanism, not the new age garbage that's being thrown around, then you want to go to thunderwizard.com. If you want to learn about energy, the energy that I'm talking about, where you raise your vibration to a certain level that you phase out of existence, go to qigong.thunderwizard.com. Get started with the celestial qigong. Okay. All right, so let's get back to the questions. Johnny, question. Johnny, I don't know what you're doing. Manaz Othala Gebo, that's my question. I speak through runes. You need to actually ask me a question. If you have a question, you got to ask me. I don't want to decode your whatever that is. So if you have a question, just ask me. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Nope, I don't see any more questions. Okay, so let's just talk about Thunar. Let's talk about the thunder gods. So bear in mind what I said, that the thunder gods are all Jupiter deities. They're all Jupiter deities, but they are a manifestation of Jupiter, a very specific kind of manifestation of Jupiter. And so let's talk about the names of the different Jupiter gods. We'll start with Thor. We've all heard of Thor, right? The Marvel comic hero Thor. Well, that is the Scandinavian pronunciation, modern pronunciation of his ancient Germanic name, which is Thunar. I believe that the Anglo-Saxons used that name for a while. Thunar was his original name. His name is made up of two. I'll write it out here for you. He's made up of two words. The word Thu, which means drop of nectar, drop of rain, dewdrop, and the moon. So you can see from that in his essence, the Jupiter gods and the Jupiter planet is a planet of nourishment, but it's the planet of eternal life. This is why Jupiter is connected to religion. This is why a teacher, the name of a teacher in the Vedic tradition is Guru. Guru. And that comes from the same root word that we have, which is grave. And it's not grave in the sense of a grave that you dig into the ground. It's grave in the sense of it's a very grave subject. We don't use it a lot in English nowadays, but it means heavy, it means deep, it means powerful. This is Guru. Guru is also the name for Jupiter, Guru. And it means that Jupiter has knowledge that is so deep that it cannot be put into words. So when you get that knowledge and it goes retrograde goes even deeper. You're talking really, really deep stuff. So you're dealing with a thunder teacher, or a teacher that has this kind of energy when you talk to them or when you're in their presence. Stuff just starts coming out of you. I mean, like realizations, emotions, fears. There's a lot of times, like I said, there's been times, you guys have seen me when I get a burr up my rear end. I'm not talking about that. There have been times when, I've been doing a lot of energy work, and I just walk in the room and people just all of a sudden they get really uncomfortable and they think that I'm thinking bad things about them, or I'm judging them. And in fact, I'm not. I'm just thinking about who knows what. I'm usually in that kind of state. I'm usually not thinking about much of anything. What's happening is that power of Jupiter is hitting all of their unconscious fears and their false assumptions. So let's talk about false assumptions. The reason why human beings are frightened of deep spiritual teachings of all kinds is because since we're all here to learn and grow, what happens is through our multiple lives and while we're here in this, in a physical form, we learn things that we think will protect us. And many times we learn things that are false. For instance, a real extreme example is, somebody who will end up with an abusive partner, get married to an abusive person. Now, on a conscious level, they know they don't want to be abused, and sometimes they'll even leave, or they'll go and they'll call the cops on them, or they'll go, stay someplace safe. But then almost invariably, for some reason, they go back to them. Or if they leave that person, they'll find another person that does that. And you think, why are they so stupid? Why do they do that? It's because on an unconscious level, they probably grew up in an abusive home. And what happens is, as little kids grow up, they worship their parents. Parents are good or bad, it doesn't matter. You're going to worship your parents as an infant. And they start to learn the lesson that, oh, abuse is love. So they equate abuse with love on an unconscious level, meaning below conscious awareness, not the subconscious, but the unconscious. You have three minds. You have the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. So we're talking about the third one. We're talking about the unconscious. Unconscious means you're not aware of it. And so what will happen is that they will make the assumption. That's a word I use. They will come to the belief that on an unconscious level, in order that abuse is love. Now, being loved is the driving force of our life. There isn't anything else that we're doing. I don't care who you are. You think success is what you want. You think, give me the list of what it is you think you want. Whatever that thing is, it represents being loved. Being loved and respected either by people or by yourself or by the universe or all three. Okay? So, little infants, that's what they want. And we are, you strip away all of our, our adult personality, you get underneath it, there's just a little kid in there. It's just a little innocent kid that wants nothing more but to be loved. That little innocent kid, thinks that they need to be abused in order to be loved. And so then what will happen is the unconscious mind acts like a giant protector. Imagine a big, burly, 400-pound gorilla whose only focus in life is to protect you and to make sure you're safe. Now, it is a gorilla. It doesn't know what is best for you. It just has a lot of strength and a lot of power, and it is committed to you. And it listens to you. So if you come to the conclusion that being abused is love, and you tell that to your 400-pound unconscious gorilla, it says, okay, I'll make sure that that happens for you. And then what happens as we get older on a conscious level, we say, I don't want to be abused. I don't like that. So we tell ourselves, I'm going to find a partner who will not be abusive. I'll find a partner who will be loving and kind and generous and sweet and nurturing. And the 400-pound gorilla goes, no, that's not what you told me to do. I'm going to do what you told me to do. And so, no, we're not going to do that. And so that when that person goes and finds somebody that's nice and loving, they will totally destroy it. And they won't even know how. Anyway, they won't even know how they did it. It'll just all of a sudden they'll say, for some reason everything fell apart and there was just this misunderstanding, or if they're really resistant, they will go crazy and they'll get paranoid. They'll say, that person wants this from me, and they want to do that to me, and they want to do this, and they'll be totally wrong. That's because the gorilla is also really smart, and he'll start telling you got to watch out for that person. That person wants to do this to you and do that to you, and hurt your feelings and manipulate you and take control of you. Because the gorilla knows that that person is not going to abuse the individual, so the gorilla's trying to keep you away from that. That's just one example. It's the same when it comes for success, when it comes for happiness, when it comes to physical health. It's all the same. So, we can boil all of it down. Disease, misery, poverty, whatever it is that you don't like, it all boils down to a misunderstanding about what love is and what being loved is. And so this is what Jupiter wants to help. Jupiter has this kind of understanding, Jupiter is knowledge that is so deep it cannot be put into words. So we have to put it into words, though. So we have teachers who teach, who do what I'm doing. They sit on the mountaintop and they are teaching from the blood, do this and do what. But then if you get a real guru, a real teacher, when they go into retrograde Jupiter mode, then what will happen is that being in their presence will really unsettle you. And this was the case for me with my teachers. I remember going to class home when I was learning the spirit fighting. I would just being in the presence of my teacher would make me so uncomfortable, and I would feel so anxious and so, and he'd have a smile on his face and he'd be talking about the weather. It was just being in his presence. Now, it wasn't so much him, it was what he was teaching. Because the other thing a true teacher will do, a true teacher will have connections to ascended masters. Whether they're aware of it or not is immaterial. But that is one of the things, because a teacher is simply a channel for the ascended masters, the gods, the spirits, whatever word you want to use for it. And that is why traditionally, when you train with a teacher, you are given some kind of transmission. There's usually some kind of a ceremony, diksha, or whatever it is. You're initiated into a certain sect. What you're being initiated into is not the teacher or even the religion or the teaching. What you're being initiated into is the lineage of the ascended masters who work through that particular teacher or through that particular teaching. That's what you're being initiated into. The Hool breath is one of those. So if you want to be initiated into what I do, you can look for this on my channel. That will initiate you into Mother Hola. For those that can't see, I just typed in Huul, breath. That will connect you to Mother Hola, who is the one who really got me to where I am now, with all of the other stuff that I learned. She was the one that took it all and brought it to a much deeper level. This is the power of Jupiter, the power of knowledge that has no words, that is deeper, that goes beyond words. Deep among deep. So this is why, I'm not, look, there are a lot of teachers out there that will tell you, and they're perfectly fine, some of them, will tell you exactly what you want to hear. They'll do things like, well, today we're going to talk about, whatever New Age nonsense. I don't want to denigrate anybody, but whatever you think New Age nonsense is, there's plenty of teachers out there that will do that. I know if I wanted to, I know exactly how to create a cult. I know exactly what to say. I know exactly what to do. I even know certain exercises that I could use to get people into an altered state of consciousness, and I could be a billionaire. I can't live with myself if I do that. And that's because I have Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house in Pisces. So Jupiter will not let me do that at all. Jupiter would strike me down if I did that. When I first started studying the spirit fighting, I won't get into it, but just bottom line is that Jupiter has made it very clear to me that if I were to do that, I would be in big trouble. So, anyway, let's take a look and see if there are any questions now, since I've babbled a little bit. Let's see. Nope. One question. Gremnor Thomas. What's your opinion on breatharian practices? Well, Gremnor, you're new to my channel. My opinion on people who ask me about other practices or other teachers is that is disrespectful. It's disrespectful to me. and it's disrespectful to the person you're asking about, because you're putting me in a position of either endorsing or criticizing them. So that's not fair to them. If you want to find out about them, go do their stuff. If you want to find out what I teach, ask me about what I teach. That's how I can best help you. Otherwise, we're just gossiping. Okay? That's my opinion on that. Nu El Ma says, question. Would you share a way that we can show our respect to our ancestors in a personal, individual manner? Yes. Go on to my channel, my YouTube channel, find out how to search within my YouTube channel and look for, what is it? Just look for elf ritual. I think there's, I don't know the full title, but if you go onto my channel and look for elf ritual, there's 1 and 2. That will connect you directly to the ancestors. We're not talking about the DNA physical ancestors. We're talking about the ancestral masters. So if you want an even simpler way than that, you can face northwest. Northwest is the direction of the elves, the shining ones, the bodhisattvas. It's also the realm of the moon. The moon, the moon means the mind. The mind is here for us, not the intellect, but the mind, the meditative mind is here for us so that we can use that to connect with the ancestral masters, whose only desire is to help us evolve and become like they are. The ascended masters, the elves in my ancestral tradition, the bodhisattvas, they were once human, and they had achieved a level of spirituality where they didn't have to reincarnate in any form, on any level, and they stand right before entering what we think of as infinity. We don't know what it is. You know, it may not be that, but from our perspective, it's infinity. They stand on the threshold of infinity and they turn and they look back at us. And they are only interested in helping us become like they are. So they don't fly down and tell us things or give us teachings. Those are other types of beings. But when you ask for guidance, the elves, the ancestors, will teach you, and they'll teach you through your crown chakra. And you know you're being taught by one of the ascended masters when you are thinking in ways of how to change your thinking and your behavior, which will help you connect with others. Like you'll find out, gosh, that's been really destructive how I do that, and that would be more helpful to people. And what I really should say is this, or something like that. Because when you are able to do that, then everybody starts to vibrate on a higher level. And that's what they're trying to help you do. They're trying to help you to get to where they are. And they never impose their thoughts or their feelings or opinions on you, but they are always ready to answer if you ask for help. Always. So, I don't know if I answered your question or not. Ama Love, question. Is there a mantra to appease the heavy Jupiter energy? So, why do you want to appease it? You're number one, again, if you're new to my channel, one of the first things you need to learn is that in order to get anywhere in my practice, you have to drop all fear. So asking me to appease the heavy Jupiter energy is coming from a kind of a fear-based. I don't want this. I don't want it. No, it's bad for me. That might be difficult, might be challenging, but you know, when you get touched with that energy, with that retrograde Jupiter energy, you know, I can't tell you that it will be a happy experience, but you will be forever changed. Forever changed. And I've had that kind of experience, and no, it wasn't very pleasant. But you know, asking to appease it is coming from a state of fear. What you really want to ask yourself is, how can I surrender to that energy? And because what causes problems is when you resist it, when you fight it. When you fight, you know, if Jupiter decides to touch you, bunk, with that kind of energy, it's the most uh, it's the most powerful blessing there is. And why would you take that away from yourself? So this is important to know, because old school teachers, and I'm talking like really, really old school teachers, like if this was, 100 or 500 years ago, if you were to go to a teacher and you would say, "Teacher, will you give me a mantra?" The teacher is going to give you a mantra that's going to destroy your life. Because his only thought process is to get you to the point where you are connecting only to the spiritual realm, and that you realize that everything in life, having money, being rich, being powerful, being famous, that all of that is just a waste of time. So they're going to give you a mantra, and from their perspective, they're like, "I'm giving you the greatest blessing there is." That's an old school teacher. Old school teachers, modern teachers don't do that as much, and it's part of that is because we live in a different age. But we're moving back in that direction. So teachings are going to start going in that direction. The more we move back towards galactic center, which we've hit the middle part, the furthest away from the galactic center, which is called Kali Yuga. It started in Christianity. Christianity started it. It was in the middle of it in the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages was right smack dab in the middle of the Age of Darkness. We've been coming around, and now we're heading back towards the galactic center. So that means as we get closer to the galactic center, true spiritual teaching is going to be of that nature. So in order to survive this shift, we have to let go of all that stuff. Okay? So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but anyway. No, the answer is no, and it doesn't help you to think like that. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. To want to appease the heavy Jupiter energy. You don't want to appease it. You want to embrace it. And, if Jupiter decides that it's time for you, that's it, I'm done playing around with you, it's time for you to learn. Nothing you can do about it anyway. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. But you will be grateful for it after the fact. Okay, so question, Witcher. What's the best way to take advantage of Jupiter retrograde? Best way to take advantage of Jupiter retrograde is you can worship Jupiter. Worship Jupiter with respect. And think of that. So again, I'm using the old school kind of mindset. Nowadays, especially here in the West, teachers are treated like servants, and they're treated like commodities. That is the way, times past in the village, you would bring the teacher a goat. The village would come and bring the teacher the food and the goat, and there would be an apprentice. And an apprentice is the guy who did all the washing and the cleaning and the fixing of the roof and all that. And so people just gave respect to the teacher. That was the main thing they gave to the teacher, was respect. So you didn't have to go, and the teacher didn't have to, debase himself and say, "All right, if you want my help, it's going to cost you X amount." I have to do that. People contact me all the time from all over, and they want me to spend all my time talking to them for free. And they can't understand, well, why? You're a teacher. You're supposed to. Why can't? Well, because I have to live. And if you want me to spend my time, and this is what I want, I'm not a victim here, but I mean, if you want me to spend, my time giving to you, you gotta compensate for me being able to live in this life, but in the old days, you didn't have to do that. And if you go in the East, like for instance, if you go to China specifically, China is very old school, and that's because the Chinese are the masters of ether. Ether is Jupiter, and it's it comes with a great deal of respect. If you go to a real Chinese master and you walk in the door of his dojo or whatever, and you start telling him what you want him to teach you, he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to show you the door, like turn around and walk away from you, close the door in your face, and pretend you don't exist. or he is going to give you the most ridiculous stuff with a smile on his face and say, sure, do this, and he'll give you something totally meaningless. Because in his mind, you wouldn't be able to handle the real teaching anyway. So I'll make you happy and I'll appease you and I'll give you what you want, which is the majority of the New Age teachings out there. The majority of them are. When you go in the light and love and everything's beautiful, and you want to talk about I mean, I so badly want to name names, but I'm not going to. That's the majority of the stuff out there, and they make millions of dollars, these people. But that's because that's all that people can handle. So again, I don't know if I answered your question. You can do a ritual to whatever Jupiter deity you want, and give some kind of respect to that. Go to a place of a holy place, any kind of holy place, and leave an offering, or if it's a place of nature, do something to contribute to that. I live right here on the beach here. There are two places that I get the most spiritual energy. One is the ocean, and the other one is the high mountains. And I live in LA County, so in a very popular beach area, so there's a lot of people. But whenever I'm just walking along the beach, what I end up doing is I just pick up trash. There's trash is getting washed in from the ocean, but people just drop their crap. That's something you can do as well. Go and show respect to holy places or places of nature, those kinds of things. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's what came to my mind. All right, so okay, so that's it. No more questions for the moment. We are already an hour into it. I'll play our cute little movie again. I put so much time and effort into these movies. I have to play them at least 2 or 3 times. And then I'll come back and see if there's any questions that I can answer for you. Okay, so we're going to be in Jupiter retrograde in the Vedic astrology tradition until July. There's a big difference between Western and Vedic astrology, by the way. So my experience is that Vedic astrology is far more accurate and far more helpful and powerful, which is why I do it. If you want to learn for instance, in your chart, if you don't know where Jupiter is in your chart, is Jupiter retrograde? What does Jupiter want from you? Right now, Jupiter is retrograde in Libra, so what house in your chart is Libra in? What planets do you have there? All of this is what's happening. Right now, Libra is my Aruda, which is my costume here. Which, let me if you're not familiar with the Aruda, let me explain to you how it works. In my experience, it's the most important thing to your success. So when you were born, for instance, me, I was born a Leo. In Vedic, I was born a Leo. And so that is how I needed to interact with my physical life as a Leo. But the universe said, that's great, Mike, you're Leo, but we have this gift we want to give to the universe. We have this gift we want to give to the rest of the world, and it has nothing to do with you. It's the free gift that will bless the world, and you just have to stay out of the way and let us shine it through you. It's called the reflection, which is what Aruda means, the reflection, because you think that you know what you are. You have an experience of yourself, and you think you know who you are. You feel a certain way about yourself, and you think everybody sees that. When you walk around, you're feeling however you feel about yourself. You think everybody else feels that too, but they don't. They only see what is being projected through you, which is also what is just simply being reflected off of you. You know, like the tapestry behind me there. You know, when you look at that, you see the deer jumping and all the other things that are in there. It's kind of a cool thing. It's a man in the forest kind of thing. You see that, and that's a cool picture. But you don't look at it and say, okay, well, what kind of cloth is it made out of? Well, let me look at that under a microscope. No, you look at the picture. You want to stand back and see how the light reflects off of it. Same thing is true for you. Energy and light bounces off of you, and it hits people, and they see you in a certain way. And if you know what that is, then you can punch that up and empower that so that people will feel blessed by you, and they will want to give you success. It will happen on an unconscious level. They won't know. They'll just go, I don't know what it is about that person. I really like them. Can I hire you? Can I buy your product? Can I be your friend? They want to help you. You want to come in and you're looking for an apartment? Well, absolutely. I don't know what it is about that person. They had horrible credit, but I like them. I trust them. That's one of the things that happens when you've got your Aruda. So my Aruda is the spiritual warrior. It's really the warrior of balance, the warrior of peace. Now that's not who I am. I'm Moon. I'm actually a new Moon in Leo. That's how I see myself, which is totally different. And I worked for years to not look like a tough guy, to not look like a warrior. And it cost me a lot because people see your reflection whether you like it or not. And they want to see your reflection whether you like it or not. And if you try and get in the way of that, then that is your ego. So when you know what your Aruda is, you'll know how your ego is sabotaging your success. So this is just one of the things you can get out of astrology. So for that, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. I guess while I'm at it, if you want the energy that I'm talking about, go to qigong.thunderwizard.com. And if you want to learn Vedic astrology and be able to do readings like I do, go to, let's see, do I have it? Let's see if I got it here somewhere. It's not on this one. Nope. So for that, go to astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com. The reason why that's important is because I have finished levels 1 and level 2, and I am going to change the pricing on that. So I had a special on that, combining the two, and that's going to stop very soon because I'm done, and I'm now certifying people. So if you want to learn that and go into business for yourself as a Vedic astrologer, go to astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com. Okay, so let's see. Anything else any other business? Keep your eyes out for the 3-1s teaching that I'm going to be teaching soon. It's coming up real soon. I haven't decided how I'm going to put the package together. It's going to be a package. I haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet, but keep your eyes open. The idea is that we have 3 selves. We have an upper self, a middle self, and a lower self. We've talked about the 3 minds. The 3 minds are really just the middle self and the lower self, because the lower self contains the subconscious and the unconscious. But we have 3 selves. We have our third eye, our spiritual self, which is the pineal and the pituitary gland. And again, energy work will empower the pineal and the pituitary gland. That's what, when people talk about opening their third eye, that's what they're talking about. And that's another reason why you should not do any kind of external chemicals. I don't care how sacred the plant is. You are forcing these glands to squeeze out the DMT and other things, and then you end up depleted afterwards. You have a great experience. Maybe your third eye opens for a few hours, but then it comes crashing down, and then it's weak. Do it the most effective way is to do the exercises like building up your muscles, working the glands so that they can create DMT all the time. So you don't have to not only get completely blown out of your mind or do all that damage to your energy or to your physical body, but you can be in that state all the time without any negative side effects. So that's what astrology.thunderwizard.com is about. While I'm here, let's just do the rune readings. .thunderwizard.com is a 9-world rune reading. Go on my channel and type in 9-world or rune reading or 9-world rune reading. You'll see what that is. Transformation.thunderwizard.com is a rune reading, Vedic Astrological reading, plus a North Star astrological reading. Okay. All right. So I've done all of my advertising for at least the time being. Let's see if there are any questions that have come up. Question: are we all equal? Do I even need to answer that question? What do you think I'm going to say? Come on. I don't even think I need to answer that question. All right. Nope, I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. I am getting tired, and I'm going to go relax and enjoy my weekend. I'm off for 2 days, and I think I've got a pretty happening weekend set up for myself. I'll let you know. I think I got some cool stuff coming my way this weekend. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for me, my friends. Until next time, just be aware that Jupiter is going to be retrograde through July. So this is a good time to really start thinking deep. If you find yourself having really tough lessons, if you think the lightning is striking you, the way to do it is to give respect. First off, to nature. Just be respectful. By the way, you cannot be respectful and be complaining at the same time. Can't do it. This is one of the reasons as a teacher I get so annoyed when I see people complaining. If I'm in teacher mode, it's hard for me to deal with that because not that I need respect personally, which of course I do. I've got a big ego and I do need respect. But it's because I see that person being disrespectful to the life that is within them. And I'm not talking about denial. I'm not talking about pretending everything is okay. That is absolutely not what I'm talking about. You can have all of your fear and all of your anger and all of your pain and your sadness and your misery. I am totally okay with any feelings that you have as long as you own them. But when people complain, or when people start going off into fear-based conspiracy theories, like, for instance, when people have to ask me things like, are there bots out there? Are there humans that are just that have no souls? That is such a disrespectful thing to say to the universe. And the reason why I get so angry with it is because it hurts me. I get hurt by it. It's hurtful for me to hear that kind of talk. It's hurtful for me when people start talking about, that there's these, you got to get rid of your chakras because your chakras are alien implants. And, that's just, it is such a horrible thing to say to Mother Universe. It's a horrible thing to say. I have empathy because I know we've been taught to feel that way. We've been taught for 2,000 years to be afraid of our own souls, to be afraid of the universe. But, if you believe that having an attitude of gratitude, of being grateful, is a helpful thing, then I encourage you to take a look at all of your fear-based beliefs. Do you believe the government is out to get you? I just paid taxes. I just paid a big chunk of money in taxes. And yeah, it hurt, and yeah, I complained. But then I stopped and I said, the only reason I'm paying these taxes is because I was successful and I made some money. I made money doing what I like doing. And I'm going to complain about that? Hell no, I'm not going to do that. I am so grateful to be able to do what I want. And, somebody's got to pay for the roads and pay for the ambulance drivers and pay for the paramedics and the fire and the police and the street lights and public schools. Somebody has to pay for that. To complain about that it's disrespectful. To believe that that the universe hates you. This is what Christianity. This is why I hate Christianity. I'm not somebody who I don't have problems with religion per se. I'm very open-minded, and I think everybody should do whatever the hell works for them. But Christianity, and monotheism is just such a disrespectful religion, because the whole idea that the universe hates you and wants to punish you because you're born imperfect, and that the creator of the universe can't tolerate you, so he has to throw you into eternal punishment. And in order to save you from that, he has to pour all of his anger out that he has on you, on his own perfect son. And then if you get saved, you have to walk around with all this guilt. Like, Jesus died for me. I mean, that is just so disrespectful to Mother Universe. It hurts me when I hear that. And the way that I deal with hurt sometimes is I get angry. That's why I get angry at that. That's why I have such little tolerance for fear-based belief systems. So I want to ask you that, really look at yourself. And, do you believe any of that nonsense? Do you believe that the universe is out to get you? If you want to show respect to the universe, give yourself some love. Love yourself. When you want to beat yourself up, when you want to feel either, guilty or less than, or the unconscious aspect of that is to feel fearful. When you feel fearful about anything in the universe, you are telling the universe that it doesn't love you and it doesn't want to take care of you. And imagine if you're a mother and your child walked up to you and said that to you. It would be such a hurtful thing, wouldn't it? So disrespectful. So think of ways that you can give respect and give love back to, if anything else, back to Mother Nature. This is a perfect time to do that, right? Up and through July. Go spend some time anywhere in nature if you can. Go walk the forest and talk to the trees. I used to hug trees. By the way, don't hug the dead ones. Dead ones will have ants and all kinds of things running them. Don't hug the dead trees. Hug the live trees. Just go and did you know that pine trees give off a hallucinogen? That's one of the reasons why, it's a very, very small amount, but it's why when you breathe deeply in a pine tree, you get this feeling of peace. It's one of the reasons why. So, anyway, I'm going to shut up with that, and we'll, let's see, I'll check and see if there are any last-minute questions. Helena Phoenix says, question, is seeking peace a remedy in all situations, an antidote? I don't know you. You say, I would say yes. So you're not asking me a question. You're wanting to give an opinion. So since you just answered that, I'm not going to bother answering it, because you've now sort of manipulated me into giving your opinion for everybody, which is fine. I'm okay with that, but you didn't really have a question for me. So I've got to be that Jupiter. If you got a question for me, ask me. I'll respond to that. Okay, so that's it for me. I'm out of here, guys. I am going to relax and enjoy my weekend, so I will see you guys when I see you. All right, take care.